This is Tony, and we'll see you on the Tampa Morgue after this track from Black Witchery. What's up? This is Tony, and you're listening to the Tampa Morgue, Season 2, Episode number 70. And just like the previous 69 episodes, I am joined by our version of the Grinch here on the Morgue, Mr. Ed Webb. What's up, dude?
Bah humbug. What is up, brother?
How is everything in Webbville?
2 days out, man. We're 2 days out from Christmas, so yeah. Yesterday was an absolute nightmare, man. My daughter wanted to go out with her new boy toy. Yeah, that's what I call her boyfriend. I call them all boy toys. To this mall in Wesley Chapel called the Wiregrass, and I'm like, usually we go to like outlet malls. Like last week, we went to Ellington.
What a fancy name for a mall. The
Wiregrass?
The Wiregrass. Yeah, it's like
because it's some of the stores are outside, so I don't know. It's a thing here. I've been there twice, I think, maybe 3 times in my life, and it's not memorable. But we went there for one thing, and then we go to this outlet mall, and the line to get into this outlet mall was like just driving. We got in, and my wife got in first because we took 2 different cars, and she was like, "There's no parking." It took me 45 minutes just to get back out of the parking lot to go home.
Oh, it's insane, right?
Dude, Angry Ed was in full fucking heat because these people, like, it's a 4-way stop to go, but people keep running the stop signs and not letting people go, and there's no cops, and actually there were troopers at the main street, and if you like turn left and you were sitting in the middle of the street, the guy's on the speaker, "Get out of the road. What do you think you're doing? Get out of the."
Guy at the airport who waits by the fucking doors.
Yeah, I'm just like, this. Why am I out in this absolute nightmare? Everything I bought from Amazon or online, and it was shipped to my door. I can't deal with these people. I mean, these people. I mean, there were so many people. I'm like, where are you people going? My wife said there was a line to get into the outlet Nike store. And she sent me a picture, and it was down the street like people were waiting in Russia for food.
Yeah, people.
I'm like, what are we doing?
I'm like, buying.
To save $5. I mean, dude, I've been to these stores. I can find better deals on Amazon for the same shoe and not have to leave my home. I mean, seriously, the outlet malls really, they act like they're giving you a deal, but they're like 3 shirts for $25. And I'm thinking, I can get the same 3 shirts on Amazon for $20. You know what I mean?
That's like Black Friday when people show up at like midnight. I mean, I think a lot of places, and maybe you probably know this more than I do, even though I was there on Black Friday this year, we don't go to that shit, to the mall at midnight. But I remember when it was always a gigantic thing, and I don't know if it's still like that. Like,
no, I think what happened,
a lot of stores closing now for their employees.
They're not open. So Walmart and Target used to be open on Black Friday, or actually Thanksgiving. Like after they would open up at like 7 at night. and you could come in and do pre Black Friday sales. I mean, I know we did it a couple years. I remember I got like two, I want to say they were like 50-inch TVs or something like that for $150 each. It
And
was
those who don't
crazy, you know.
know, I mean, most of I don't know if every country does this, but Black Friday is basically where you show up. There might be like 3 items that are really well priced, but you basically have to basically fight hordes of people to get those items. And while the employees who in America were spending their day on Thanksgiving with their families have to leave the dinner early to go work
Yep.
these awful shifts that are like from 12 till like the next morning. I've actually done that. I worked at a toy store called KB Toy Store over in the
Yeah.
Pinellas County
God.
Mall when I was living in Florida, very young age. And there was a thing called, it was a, I don't want to mention the item's name, but it was like a doll, like a special doll that came out like every Christmas. And like, I remember like all these mothers lined up at the gate and they were ready to fight, you
Mm.
know, and that's great videos on YouTube. You can always see too of like
Video games are the
Black Friday
biggest.
brawls.
I know, like we would show up at Walmart. I think Walmart always opened a little earlier, but we would go there and they had special sections that you would be ushered to if you were looking for like movies, like Blu-ray and DVD. They had like nothing but these big, gigantic displays, cardboard
Yeah.
displays
You had
of
to reach in
all the
those
movies,
bitches and
and they were like $2 and $3
yeah.
each movie. And video games like PlayStation and Xbox. I mean, I was like, what are we doing? You see people fighting over Xbox and game systems, and I'm like, nah, it's not worth it. I can't. I endured that for years when my kids were young. I told them when they got older, I'm not doing that shit.
I went
Not.
once just to see it, man. I went to and I didn't actually really partake in any of it. Me and an ex actually had drove there at like 11:45 on the way home from some Thanksgiving event and just kind of parked in the lot and sat there and watched the zombie horde of people with this look in their eye, like trying to get that one TV that was priced like $600 less than the others. And it was, that's the holidays
What
and
what
Christmas,
people don't even realize is those TVs are last year's TVs. They're
Yeah.
just discounting them to get rid of them. People think they're getting some kind of a deal. They're old. Like the technology is last year's technology. So they're just buying an old TV at a discounted price and they think they're getting a deal. That's
Oh,
the crazy part.
and that's what the holidays have become in a lot of ways. And I mean, obviously, I have kids now, so we have to do it up and stuff like that. For them, we try to give them they like Christmas, of course, and stuff. But it's funny though because, and we'll get onto some music too. But like, if and Ed, you know this, we know a lot of these guys, and a lot of people know a lot of these guys. And hey, whatever, I mean, I have a family. I hang out with my kids for the holiday and stuff. But a lot of for the 11 months out of the year, it's like, they fucking hate everything and everything is this and that. But then on Christmas, man, you see they're putting the posts next to the tree and their black leather and their pentagrams and stuff. And I always thought that was, kind of funny but hey, it's you know,
It's a
whatever it is, it
tradition.
is. It's a tradition. And, I have kids and we definitely, they love it. They're excited. And, tomorrow's Christmas Eve and we'll go to the wife's families and stuff like that. A couple cities away from us because I am back in the cold Lithuania
Ugh.
holiday season. Yeah, it's beautiful here though. I got to say, all the lights are up but it's cold out and I like we got back. I got sick. I've been sick for like a week. The wife's now feeling it. She's finally getting over it, but we got back 2 weeks ago. And the only good news is, and I'll keep this really short because I know last episode we talked about it about the travel, the airport issues we had. We did get a €2,400 refund from the airline for delaying our flight for 9 hours.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
it's €2,400, like I
Probably
said,
could
for
have been
me and the
more
kids.
because the way they do it now, there's a special formula that they do. I see, what's crazy is I learned it from these like people on Facebook. They do these ads. I follow Josh because Josh gives me the best insight. How do you know all these secrets? And but some of the shit that he says, I try and I'm like, holy fuck, it actually works. It's
I learned this
crazy.
from a guy in the airport, dude. A kid told me, he's like, "You're going to get money back for this, at least €600 each." And I said, "What?" Looked it up, and 6 days later, we got approved for the refund. So that was some good news. But besides that, back in the back in the cold, me and you tonight, actually, which a lot of people that are probably listening to this show that'll already be over with. But me and Ed tonight will be guests on a Lithuanian radio show, actually called. I'm really hoping I pronounced this right. A drone show, radio show out of Vilnius. So me and Ed will be on there to talk about the podcast, Tampa, the music that we're involved with, and stuff like that. We opened up the show with, and Ed, I know you know this band too, and they were, they've been around for years, and it says they're still around, but I don't know how active they are anymore. Black Witchery. We opened up with the song "Scorned and Crucified" from the Upheaval of Satanic Might record that came out on Osmos in
Yeah,
2005.
Steve, the guitar player, was in Burning Inside. He
Yeah.
passed away.
Yeah, so was Mike from Asheron with him, and Richard
Yep.
Christie. He passed away in 2016 in a car accident. Um, like you said, Burning Inside. He was also in, oh man, he was also in Monument of Bones, and there was a couple other bands too he was involved with. But uh, you know, they were they're out of, I want to say Winter Springs. I need to double check that. But
Who's that?
Black Witchery.
Yeah, I believe you're right because they were up in they're up in that Orlando area because when they were doing Burning Inside, Richard lived in that people storage place where he made all the videos that got him picked up by Howard Stern. Um,
And
it's
Burning
crazy.
Inside, didn't they start out in Missouri, right, and move to
They did.
Orlando?
They did. They all were in Missouri and they moved here because actually the last record they did, they stayed at my house while they were recording it at Audio Lab, and that's when I learned how, like, when you see people, I would be like, holy fuck, because they were going at each other's throats. Because, Richard, if you've ever watched Richard drum, he's a psychotic. Like,
Oh
he's a
yeah,
fucking great drum. I mean, that's why Chuck had him playing on Death and
he would
all
be a
his,
great guest, but you're not getting him when he's with Stern. Like
no. Well, I maybe because I have a friendship with him. So we might be able to get him just because of that. But he's a psychotic drummer. And I remember every time that they would record something, he would play something different. Like I noticed one hit or something would be different because he puts so much into too many fills. You know what I mean? And they would be screaming at each other in my house, and I would just go in my room and lock the door and stand there with a shovel. Like I'm thinking if they come through the door because they were fighting. But those guys, honestly, Jamie Prim, Jamie was the bass player singer. He played in Contorted. He played bass on a couple live shows for Contorted when we needed him. Those dudes were great dudes. Steve was
well,
a great
Mike,
guy.
Mike passed away. Obviously Asheron, we know
I
him
did
from.
jujitsu with Mike,
Yeah, he.
so
What year did he pass away? Was it?
it's been, man, these years fly by so much. But
Every time
he,
I look, I'm always surprised. I'm like, man,
because I know he was doing Asheron, and I think he also played with Browning, and he might have done some stuff with After Death. I can't remember
he did. He did.
because I mean, it's dude, all these people intertwined between so many bands and shit. I can't keep up with all of it, but yeah, he was a good dude. Mike Estes. Um,
Well, if you
yeah, they were
remember
great.
too, is Black Witchery. They started out as Witchery in Missouri. Like they all have that Missouri link, like you mentioned.
Right.
Because the first demo actually, I think, came out as under the title Witchery. Um, and Steve was also in Public Assassin, which was another Missouri band. But I can't remember what year Mike passed away. We talked about it with Vincent too when we had Vincent Crowley on here
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It was. It
because they
was.
lost
It,
another
I want
guitar
to say it
player
was
too.
early 2000s that
Yeah, or mid.
But yeah, he is. I remember when I heard that, I was like, God, man, that sucks because that kid could shred, man, and he was
Yeah,
good at jujitsu. I remember when we realized we both did it, and we were like, let's get up, man. And he came into town, and we rolled a little bit, and yeah, it was cool. He was a great guy, man. We were supposed to do something like a side project that we were going to do, me and him and a couple other people. It just never.
oh, he was also in Resurrection.
He was. That's
Yeah,
right. He
that
did. He
almost slipped
did
my
play in
mind too.
Resurrection.
Resurrection. I mean, but yeah, I know that they're still listed. I like with Black Witchery. I think the last thing they put out was in 2020. It was a EP, but it was just like it was from older material. So I don't know what the status is, but that's who we opened up the show with. And Ed, we have guests coming up. This is a show. Whoever we kind of hopped on this morning. It's Christmas week coming up, so we're all. I know Ed's really busy with his family, and I have crazy stuff going on with mine. But
It's
we
an early
figured we'd
morning for me.
yeah, Ed's up at like basically 6:30 this morning on this show. He was up prior to that. And we do this sometimes, me and Ed, like Ed's going to be doing, we got, which I'll mention with the guests coming up, but sometimes one of us is forced to change our time schedule a little bit for people that come on. I've been up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Ed's been up at 5 o'clock in the morning to interview people because we're both on. I'm in Lithuania and Ed's over in Tampa right now. Actually, we only did. You look at the Tampa Morgue. I did one show while I was there from Tampa. Actually, everything else has been in Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we do have some guests coming up that we'll mention. We'll just kind of hang out for a little bit today, and then we'll let everybody go do their thing, and we'll be back. So we have Jesse Jolly coming on. He'll be on. We'll be actually talking to him on Friday, which is the 27th, right?
Yep.
Um, whether we post it the next day or either maybe Sunday night, that's the question we have, because we're gonna have this up today, which is what is today? Monday. Today's the 23rd, 2024. Whether you're listening to us
Your
now or you're
Christmas show.
listening to
This is
us,
you're welcome, people. This is your
yeah,
Christmas show.
we're having coffee and hanging out, and said, hey, let's pop on for a little bit. So we have Jesse Jolly coming on, and Jesse Jolly, Ed, you want to run down the roster a little bit? What, Diabolic?
Yeah, he just finished it.
Blastmasters.
He just finished the tour in Asia with Malevolent. He took over the vocal and realm, and he's doing bass and vocals, and good for him, man. Because very few people that I give accolades to these days, because most people, we have a handful of people we deal with that we, love and admire and whatever. But I've always had a very strong admiration for Jesse. He's a great dude. Nothing shows nothing but respect. He's always respected me and given me, props and
Total professional.
yeah. So, and I still say to this day, it came up at the show the other day that there were only two real dudes who ever, were the real singers for Diabolic, and that was me and him. And I will stand by that 100%. No offense to Tony Black. I love Tony Black too, but he, people fit and don't fit, but Jesse fit like what we did fit each other. But yeah, he's in Diabolic.
He did the Amon thing with the
He
Hoffman
was,
brothers.
I mean, that was a crazy band. When I remember when he was doing that, I was like, man, that's, playing a 6-string bass, and he was killing it.
I saw him at the Mug. I don't know what year it was. It wasn't too long ago, actually. It was probably like maybe, I don't know, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Probably, I would say at least 7 with him on. And I don't know if that was a festival, a Swarm Fest or something, but, he did that. Blastmasters, Blightmas. He has a lot of projects.
After Death.
After Death, that's right. Which I actually want to talk to him about that, because I wonder if that was, I know he played with a band in Tennessee. He was involved with some stuff there, but I wonder if After Death was the first Florida project he did, so, and I believe it was, but I mean, you just never know. There's so much little things that happen back then, but I think that all,
everything back in the day, everything intertwined within itself, especially when you got in with the little click.
and the Mug had that, which I'm sure
they
that
did.
has a lot to do with all of our connections to each other, is the Brass Mug in Tampa,
For sure.
I mean, especially the original one, which was, because you had the one on all 3 locations was what, North Florida.
Yeah, the original one was on Fletcher,
and then
Fletcher was the what I call the OG. Even when they moved the stage from the front, when you walked into the back, it was still the Brass Mug. But I think what they did when they moved that stage is they opened it up a lot, because you could fit more people in there.
Right,
I wish they never moved from there. Honestly,
I loved it, man. And we had what you had back then. You had that window, the sound booth window, right? You had JD back there with the brass. I always talk about this because it was one of the things that, there's certain things that you remember as a kid. And when I first started going there, I was pretty young, and you had JD with the Brass fucking Mug t-shirt on.
And no matter what, you sounded fucking awesome. Whether you were the fucking opening band or the headlining band, JD mixed you like there was no tomorrow, man.
Yeah, no. And, that was we saw so many shows there, because at one, in that shopping plaza there, I'm going to call it that, whatever you want to call it, you had Splatter God Records in there at one time. You had that religious place upstairs. I don't know. Yep. I forget what it was. Some kind of church.
The Wooden Nickel, which was where you could go buy your rolling papers.
Yeah, the Wooden Nickel. But you had such awesome shows. You would go see Emulation, Christian for you're talking back then.
Death Angel
for $5. That Death Angel show was awesome, actually. I remember you guys played that with them with Destined to Ruin, was it?
Yeah. No, it was Destined to Ruin. Yeah,
Destined to Ruin. Just an awesome venue, just awesome bands, and you're paying such the prices compared to now. It's I'm thinking you're paying like $5 if I remember a show for some of these guys, and you were seeing three or four great bands. The last time I saw Vader with Doc was at the Brass Mug, the original.
I
Um,
remember seeing the original Monstrosity with Corpse Grinder when he was about like 125 pounds. He looked like just a stick figure with a giant neck. And that was the first time I saw somebody just absolutely look like they just wanted to, head whip their head off their body, because that was unheard of back then. You know what I mean? I'm talking early days um, of that. So I got to witness a lot of that cool shit. That was a great club, man. The
we all
second
played there a
one was
lot. We all mostly, well, there was open jam nights, which was I remember our
yeah,
drummer Chris Merriman used to always go up to those, and you would go find band members a lot of times doing that.
absolutely.
You know,
Just
and
sitting there, standing out front or on the side of the building or out back. That's where you made a lot of the most connections
yeah,
when you were there. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times I would be there, and all of a sudden you're talking to somebody and you're in their band.
yeah, it
Like,
was
you
always
know
like
what I
that.
mean? It just happened, or you're filling in for somebody, or you're doing something. I did that so many times, but yeah, the second the second one was okay. We
Because
played
that
there a
eventually
bunch of
became
times.
Pegasus, which just closed down.
Right, the one on Florida, and now you got the new one off of Skipper, which I mean, we've been blessed to play all three. You know what I mean? I've been lucky enough to play all three numerous times. Um, but the sad part is really, besides there in the Orpheum, I think you're tapped out in Tampa for venues. There's just, I mean, unless you're huge enough to be able to get the Masquerade.
Or Janus Landing, which would
Oh yeah,
is a
that too.
beautiful venue, and you have the Crowbar, which I mean we've played the Crowbar before. You've played the Crowbar before. We both
Yep.
have played the Crowbar. And I'm interested to see what happens when that leases up, just because the prices in Ybor are so insane.
I
Um,
just watched a documentary on him.
well, Tom
Talking
was in it,
about
right?
Tom. He was the main guy,
Who runs
and
the Crowbar? Whoever's listening, which is a venue in Ybor City.
yeah, I mean, I've played there a ton of times. That's where a lot of the metal for the militaries and some of the metal militias, when they weren't at the Mug, they were at the Crowbar. And
We
the
played
the
there
problem with the
with Russo,
Crowbar,
right?
yeah, the only problem with the Crowbar is parking. You
Yeah, it
you
sucks.
you get fucking. You have to pay for parking. You got to park way. It's just like if you're going to Ybor City for a night out. You got to go park in a parking lot, pay $10. Back then, $10. You're like, fuck, that's a lot of money. But yeah, that's the only problem with the Crowbar, as opposed to even the new Orpheum sucks for parking, because when if there's a tour bus in the parking lot, you've literally wiped out a chunk of the area to park. And every
See, that's
time I've
always the
gone up
worst
there,
when you go to a show and have to think about that, because I know when I would drive up the shows, I'd be like, man, and we're gonna be able to get a parking spot. Like, what are you gonna, where are you gonna park at? Blah blah blah.
yeah,
Especially in Ybor.
the first time I went there, I was nervous because I parked across the street at a business. It was closed because it was a weekend. But you wonder, am I going to come out and have my car towed? You know what I mean? Luckily, apparently, the businesses worked out a deal, I guess, that they don't mind as long as nobody's, leaving beer bottles and shit around for them to clean up. Um, but yeah, that's the only thing about the Orpheum. Even the Mug, because when we parked, remember, you were having a hard time because you guys showed
Yeah,
up a little later, and my wife too. I mean, she got there a little late. Luckily, because we were in the band, Nick, gave me
hooked it up.
let me
Yeah,
park in front of his RV. But I mean, yeah, that's the problem with some of these places, is they just don't have parking. When we played the Orpheum in Ybor, yes, you had to pay to park, but at the same time, you were right on site. You know what I
and
mean?
and the problem with the Brass Mug parking now is it's not even the Brass Mug's fault. It's the half of those businesses block off. You have like
The laundromat,
laundromats or
yeah,
bullshit
and
like that.
the little convenience store don't want you
Yeah.
parking in their spots.
So that happens, and that's where it begins. And even the other night, well, a couple weeks ago when we did the show in Tampa at the parking lot, that's the thing is you're like, can I park here? And then there's a sign saying only whatever, laundromat parking, whatever. So that was definitely an issue, but that's some, Tampa Tampa venues. I mean, we've seen so many come and go, and we talked about that the last episode with the closing of the Orpheum, and me and you and everybody in that area from years ago with the Foo Bar and what the State Theater has become now, which looks good. I mean, but it's totally different than what we know it as. Now it's the
The
Florida
local
Social Club.
662, right?
Local 662s went down. They turned it into a biscuit place. So, you hate to see that, but what else do we have coming up, Ed? We mentioned Jesse. We have Kenyo from Rotten Sound from Finland will come on, and is that I want to say it's I'm not looking at the thing right now, but I want to say that's January 13th he'll be on, which is going to be a shitty morning for Ed Webb because I think that's like a 5:30 in the morning for Ed. That's it'll be a rough one time wise, but we'll have Kenyo from Rotten Sound on, and let me see here. It's really not, I was like, because we did a lot of the last episode, we did a lot of upcoming stuff. We kind of jumped ahead even to January a little bit. So there's really not much stuff that, to mention for the next 2 weeks because this time of year, there is some shows going on and stuff, but don't you kind of feel like everyone's kind of does their own thing right now? No one's in that mode. Everyone's kind of in the family mode or the getting through the holiday mode.
Yeah, I think what happens is a lot of people don't book shows around Christmas because they plan on being around family, and most people now, if I had to tell my wife that I was going to see Cannibal Corpse on Christmas, how do you think that would work?
Well, after hanging out with your wife a couple of weeks ago, I think I know how that would work.
Exactly.
you
My
know.
balls would be cut off and stuck in my mouth, mafia style. So, yeah, no, no. So I
She
think
is the
that's why
yang to your yang, the
she is definitely she is my opposite for sure.
sheesh
But
to your
yeah, I mean,
chong.
I think I don't know which one I am in that scenario, but hey, but yeah, I mean, I think that's why because I can't ever remember ever being booked on any type of a tour like 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after Christmas.
Yeah.
Like even the Monstrosity tour, or maybe the first week of January, but I think we left for Europe. It was like January 6th or 7th. But now you're already a week into the new year, so now it's time to go, and that's Europe. You know, I don't know who's touring America um, at that time, but like when we did the DTA tour, that was November through December, so I did miss Thanksgiving with my family that year. But Thanksgiving, I think, is one thing. Christmas is, I think, where they draw the line for trying to. Because I think most people they go eat turkey and they're like, hell yeah, I'm going to see frickin' whoever tonight. So that's fine. You know what I mean? Because they've spent time with family and now they're going. But Christmas, for whatever reason, I think it's a different animal.
And you're right, because a lot of I used to work in bars my whole life growing up. When I was in school or not in school, I was either bartending or waiting tables in St. Pete and stuff like that. Um, and Thanksgiving and Christmas, you'd have usually when people left their families, the first place they would usually hit is the local bars and hang out. It was always a big thing. It was I don't know which night was bigger. I want to say both of them. I mean, Thanksgiving and Christmas night. It's you can totally tell who's ready to get away from the family activities. But show wise, yeah, I don't think you really see much of that happening. Uh,
I
I
think
can't think.
movies just started becoming like a new thing to do on Christmas. Like I know some people who go celebrate Christmas and then they go to a movie. And
I think they're putting
I
Terrifier 3 back in the theater tonight, actually, or tomorrow in the
really,
states, and yeah, just for the holiday.
that's
Actually,
cool.
it's funny you say that. I was just looking at that the other day, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Which again, if you haven't seen that movie and you like Christmas horror movies, that's probably one of the best I can think of that I've seen in a long time. I mean, right now there's like you go on Netflix, so to say, there's a shitload of Christmas horror movies actually mixed in. If I remember seeing what is there? I saw one the other day. Might have been Christmas, Bloody Christmas from like 2022 or something. I don't know. There's like It's a Wonderful Knife, which I forget what year that was from, but it wasn't too long ago. There's a bunch of those movies now. Like of course, Krampus and stuff.
I
They
think for
definitely.
some reason people negate the horror films and go for like the typical. I always see the Christmas movie forever etched in the best of ever was, is Die Hard, because, the whole yippee ki that whole, I remember seeing it and I was like, wow, this is cool. But
National
I
Lampoon's
never,
to me was the best one, man. The Christmas
yeah,
movie of all of them. I don't
I
know.
agree that. And of course now you have, the other couple of ones, like if you're into raunchy shit like Elf
Yeah,
with
Elf.
Will Ferrell, or Bad Santa with Billy Bob Thornton. Like
That
those to
that was
me
a
are
really
like, if
funny
you want to
movie.
watch funny raunchy shit, or even The Grinch, Jim Carrey,
Or the Mean One, which we actually talked
yes,
about on this show because we had David
yeah,
Howard Thornton on, who also plays Art the Clown in Terrifier. But that movie was entertaining, and that was
it
like
was.
it was actually something too that like you can, if you have like a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old, yeah, you can have them watch it. It's it's campy. It's a different version of the Grinch because he basically murders everybody. But it was entertaining, I thought.
Sure. But I think of like, I don't, because I mean, I remember of course, the ABC Santa and Rudolph,
Yeah.
where they were
I
like
made the kids watch that the other night.
not the claymation, but you know what? People don't realize, like, to me, that every child should have to watch that, because
Yeah.
to me that's they showed you the real spirit of Christmas, you know what I mean? Like, as lame and unmetal as it sounds, to me that's still one of those,
The
like,
Frosty when he melts to death.
yeah,
Even
I
as a
mean
kid,
it.
I thought that was kind of fucked up. I was like, man, what's going on here?
What are you
Something's
doing here? But then he
yeah.
comes back. Then he comes back
Yeah.
because, they rejuvenate him with the ice.
They're
But yeah, I mean,
pushing that religious shit on you there.
but even the abominable snow, the whole thing, they went through the whole character of being bullied, like
Yeah.
Rudolph did. And to me, that was like a staple of our childhood,
Now
or Charlie
Rudolph will
Brown
come back with like
Christmas.
an AK and fucking take all the
Yeah.
other
Charlie Brown
reindeer out.
Christmas, those type of
Charlie
things
Brown,
were,
Christmas tree,
you
the
know,
Charlie Brown
yeah,
tree.
the little
Yeah.
stupid tree like I got in my front yard.
Yeah, so it's and that's what happens though, right? When you get so Ed, this is the last Christmas question for you. But now that your kids are older, do you kind of not like? Do you guys worry about the lights in the trees? I know your wife has the yard set up, if I remember
Oh, dude, I got
seeing,
I got 5 blowups in my front yard, and on
and four in his
lights all
closet.
around, and candy cane. Oh no, dude, it's that's now her thing is blowups for every holiday. We had one for Halloween.
You
Now we
got the
had one for
turkey too.
Thanksgiving.
There you go.
My neighbor, he bought one of those, like you have the behind you, the motion Frankenstein,
Oh yeah, we got the Frankenstein and
and he put it out front, and he had it for Halloween. For Thanksgiving, he put a turkey on its head, and for Christmas, they just wrapped him in Christmas lights. He sits out there, like, just sits out there, and they just use him for a prop for whatever holiday it is. And I'm like, "What? Okay, that works." He put a Santa hat on him and put some lights around him, and when he moves, the lights move and shit. I'm like,
it's like those houses
that's
that leave the Christmas lights up all year.
oh
You
no,
know,
I mine are on little clips, man. I just yank them down. I
yeah,
pull them right down.
we always had
I'm not
those in
even the one.
Jersey.
I'm not even the one that leaves them up for like 2 weeks after Christmas. It's like right after New Year's. It's get the bins.
Yeah.
All this shit's coming
Same
down.
thing. My wife pulls it down the morning after. I mean, you're lucky if you even get that far. I remember Halloween this year. She was up till like 3 o'clock in the morning, pulling all the shit I put up, all gone. Next day it was like back to the holiday was done. I was actually thinking of you when I was reading this. I don't know if I read it a couple days ago, Ed. Dark Angel. So they're
New
gonna
music.
play the first time. Yeah, new music since what? Since '91.
Yep.
Because yeah, because what the last one was Time Does Not Heal was the last record they did.
I believe you're correct.
Yeah, so I was thinking of you because I know you played with Dark Angel. Was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
I don't know. It's been a while. I think it
Yeah,
was, but I met Ron. Um,
we talked about it on this show, so it had to be in the last 3 years. I want to say.
I probably. I mean, that makes sense. But they're a great band. Gene Hoglan. I had the opportunity to tour with him when he jumped in after Sean left the DTA tour. They brought in Gene Hoglan, and nicest guy. I mean, for somebody who's as big as he is, and I'm not talking size, I'm talking like drum wise, because he's actually lost a ton of
I
weight, man.
saw
I give
that.
him
Yeah,
props for that, man. He's on point. He actually, that dude there is the reason I did not get sick on that tour, because I noticed everybody was getting sick, and he's like, "Hey, man, if you want to stay healthy, He told me walk over to that store, which was like a good walk. It was like, CVS or something. He goes, go buy you some emergency powder. That was the first time I learned about those emergency
Energy C,
powders.
right? Or the packets say? Or...
They're no emergency. They call them because they're
Yeah.
like
They come in those
they're a
boxes.
big dose of vitamin C and a powder you put in your drink. He's like, get
1,000.
those and drink 2 a day. And I bought two big boxes, and everybody by the time we hit Philadelphia, everybody was sick as a dog. I think me and Mikey were the only ones that did not get sick on that tour. Terry, Rick, all of Obituary, DTA. I mean, everybody got sick, but me and Mike.
I remember
I,
this. Yeah, I
I
totally
don't know
remember
why.
this.
I maybe because I was so jacked up on fucking vitamin C. I don't know, but that guy straight up said, if you want to stay healthy, do what I do. And he says I drink these religiously, and I still do to this day. Actually, now they make one that you don't need water. It's just a powder like the Pop Rocks. You just pop it in your mouth, and it's just a powder that you can consume without drinking water. And I'm like, sign me up, because I'm not a fan of shit that don't taste good. That's why a lot of people, usually the good shit doesn't taste good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We know that.
Like NyQuil.
And
Shit works great, but hey,
it
tastes
tastes like
like death.
fucking shit. But yeah, I'm definitely a fan of taking things that make you feel better.
No, definitely. And I thought of that when I was looking at the Dark Angel stuff. I was like, oh yeah, I need to mention that to Ed. And a couple other things. I noticed there were some people that passed away. Um, Casey Chaos from Amen. Remember them, Ed?
Yep.
59 years old. He was also, I think he was also a professional skater, if I'm correct. But what, he passed away? I don't know what day it was. It was sometime this week. Had you
I
ever
saw
seen
it.
him live or anything?
Amen. No, no. But I know who they are,
Yeah.
and that I've seen them. They opened for a lot of big time bands in the early days. They were more of that new metal kind
More
of.
of a rock, even, I guess you would say,
Yeah,
right? They were.
yeah, but they fit into that new metal kind of thing, because they were doing shows with, I want to say, uh, Mudvayne and stuff like that. Some of those type of bands.
Never seen them live, man. I don't know. I didn't really, I knew who they were. They were, I mean, God, they've been around since like either 94 or 95.
Yeah,
But I mean, I saw that he passed away. Um, who else did I see here? Actually, a guy that, and I hope I'm not, I know John actually, and I hope I don't butcher his last name because I just knew him as John. He was a regular at the Mug sometimes. He had come to some Generic Christ shows, taking photos of us play live before. John Budakovila, his name was. And as I said, I'm hoping I'm not messing up his last name, but I didn't know John. He was a really nice guy. I saw that he passed away this week. Totally bummed to see that. Every time I saw him, he was just a cool dude. And I know they'll be doing a celebration of his life will be held at a John B. Sargent's Park on 301 in am I saying this right, Ed? Thonasassa,
Thenota
Florida.
Sassa.
Yep, Saturday, January 11th, 2025, of course, at 10 a.m. till I think it's going on till 4. It's open to family, friends, and children. Like I said, John was a really nice guy. I really wanted to mention him because when I saw he passed, I was totally bummed. I haven't talked to him in years, but right away I was like, damn, man. Nathan Rossi, who he plays a guitarist for, he did some stuff with Incantation Live. Uh, I saw he passed away. It sucks because now we see a lot of this. Of course, we talk about it all the time on the show. We do try to mention to people when this happens. He was also Nathan also played with Rotravor, I guess, in 1995. Also did some live stuff, but we always try to mention it when we see it, But the guy John I mentioned, I did know John, and he was a totally cool guy. So to all his friends and family, if you're hearing this, he's a Tampa guy, sorry to hear about it. Total bummer, man, and best wishes to everybody who knew John. Like I said, you guys can go do his celebration of life on January 11th, 2025. And we're saying, Edward, not much stuff on the stuff going on. Us we already mentioned Saturday 28th at Deviant Live Nation. I still haven't been to that venue. Um, Florida death metal scenes putting on a show. I only Bludgeon's playing, Extinguished from Fort Lauderdale, and Sectical from Orlando, and there's 5 bands in total. It's $15 at the door, and that's the 28th this month. Besides that, everything else we can kind of mention show wise, like next week and stuff like that, because that's the. Do we want to mention the? We could mention the Tampa Bay Museum of Metal presents the. That I saw they announced some dates will be going on, which I'm sure we're going to talk about on this show eventually. But that's Saturday, January 25th and 26th, if I'm correct. Um, I saw some of the members that are going to be members from Deicide, Pastor Present, Death. For Atheist, Nasty Savage, uh, Monstrosity, Malevolent Creation, Contorted. No, Ed, no. These bands, you've been in some of these bands. Are you going to be at this event, or are you still trying? You haven't really figured it out yet. What's going on? Maybe you just heard about this too. I just heard about the date
Yeah,
yesterday.
I
So
heard the dates, and I did see there's probably 5 bands he mentioned people were going to be um, guests at. That literally I was in every one of those bands.
that's
So
what I
no,
thought when I saw it. I was
I've
like, oh
heard
shit.
nothing. He hasn't talked to me about anything. So no, I'm not one of the guests.
Yeah, and they
Um,
just announced it yesterday, so we'll see. Well, of course, we'll keep everybody posted. But I saw that, I thought of you right away, and it's a free admission event, Saturday, January 25th and
yeah, it'll be cool to
26th.
go check. You know what I mean? I mean, it'd be cool to go check it out.
Do you know the place? Because I don't want to. It's I know it's on Nebraska Ave, but Magna. Let me see here. It's a brewing. It's Magna Moses. I don't. I'm going to fuck up the name of it. So we'll get all the information and announce it. But I know it's on North Nebraska Ave. It is a free event. It's an exhibition of Florida metal history. And there should be a lot of it because there's a lot of history in the last bunch of years. It's going to be interesting to see what they represent or they choose to represent and stuff. Death Metal Dave's putting it on. We know Death Metal Dave, so we mentioned that because that just got announced yesterday, I believe. That we kind of all knew it was going on eventually, but that was the first time there's actually been dates put out, and that's going to be Saturday, January 25th, and Sunday, January 26th. And Ed, before we just so I'm gonna so we're like I said, we're gonna be on a show tonight from Lithuania. That's broadcast out of Lithuania radio show. There is a link for it inside the on the. I think I put it on the Instagram, and it should be on the Facebook. So we're not going to play much stuff today. I'm going to play one song from a Lithuanian band, and then we're going to come back and just do releases, kind of close up shop here. I know, like I said, this is kind of a improv episode. We figured, yesterday we didn't even know when we were going to do it. Ed had some time this morning at 5:30 in the morning. A very, very hardcore. This guy's up early as shit, though. I know because I'm 7 hours ahead, and this guy's usually up when I'm up.
Well, yeah, because
Um,
I go to the gym at 5 usually with
yeah,
Bryce.
I
So
see his active light on. I'm like, oh shit, Ed's already awake. The only problem is when the time changes and I forget that, and I call him at 4 in the morning. Like,
still
what's up, dude?
awake.
Yeah, still awake. But this band is actually from Vilnius that we're going to play. And then we're going to come back and we're just going to do some releases, sum up the show, what's coming up, and just, say goodbye to everybody and stuff. But this is a band from Vilnius, Lithuania, which is about an hour from me, and I'm there very often. A band called Stormgrey. The song is called My Demon. It's from the album Pray, Crawl, Suffer. Band formed in 2011. This album came out in 2005. The latest release was from 2021. DNA of Chaos was the latest one, but this is from the 2015 record, Pray, Crawl, Suffer. It's the band's actual debut this was from. So we're going to play this. We're going to come back, me and Ed, just do a couple more things, and then, we'll be back this week. We got the next 2 weeks. We got some stuff going on. So we're, a lot of Tampa Morgue stuff in the works. Again, too, which will remind you before we hang up today, there is shirts still available. Only a few left. And actually the sizes, I don't even know exactly what we have left size wise, um, but King Fally did send us a picture. We got a picture of King wearing the Tampa Morgue shirt. We have much respect for King.
That was awesome.
That was awesome,
Thank
and
you, King.
yeah. And whoever listened to the last episode, we had Count Gordeval on, which the old horror host from Creature Feature, and we'll get Count on again because actually I'll be seeing Count, I believe, in was it June? I believe he'll be
June.
out by me in Lithuania. Yeah, me and my wife will be hanging out with Count for dinner, and him and his wife in Vilnius actually. So
Just
looking forward.
imagine if it was a how do you want to call it? Quintuplet or triplet
Triplets.
couple? Yeah, that means me and my wife were there to go out too.
Yeah, that would be
Because my
awesome.
wife's been on my dick about don't blow me
My wife
off.
thinks you guys are coming this spring or
Oh
summer, man.
God,
So you got to put the word on.
good. Maybe I can get $2,400 back.
Oh, dude, I know
I'll
that
sleep in
that
an
made my
airport
whole.
overnight.
That's what I said to my wife. I said, as much as that experience sucked, sitting in that Germany airport for 2,400 euros. Hey, sometimes you got to suffer. Um,
Exactly.
you know, which, I wonder what Count would think if I showed up dressed as Count Gordeval, the cape and everything at dinner. That would be a little awkward, I think. You
No, you
know?
gotta dress as like a werewolf or the mummy or
Yeah,
something. That's
right.
you gotta offset him, man. You can't copy him, bro. You gotta
Nah, you can't
you
do
gotta
it.
do the opposite, man. You gotta come in. You know what? Just have your wife stand there by yourself and say you're the Invisible Man.
Exactly. Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah. So everybody, we'll be back after this song from Stormgrey from Vilnius, Lithuania, thrash death metal band. The song is called "My Demon" from the album Pray Crawl, Suffer. We'll be right back on the Tampa Morgue after this track. And that was Stormgrey from Vilnius, Lithuania. That was the track "My Demon." And we are back on the morgue here. We're going to be wrapping things up pretty soon. This is, like I said, a kind of a throw together show. So Ed, what do you do? What's your rest of your week now? What does this look like, man? You just pretty much hanging out with the family, and obviously we have a show on Friday we're doing at night.
Yeah, pretty much. Tomorrow's the wife's family dinner, and then Wednesday's hanging out with my sister. This will be the real. I mean, last year was kind of the first without my dad, but this is like the real first one with like both parents completely out of the picture. So yeah, it's going to be kind of strange. It's been strange leading up to it. A lot of weird. I mean, I've been kind of in and out of angry Ed mode just because a lot of shit. I start to think about shit, and then I get angry because of the way everything kind of went. The history of
Yeah,
what
you
happened
want
with my
dealt with a
mom and
lot
dad.
in like a say a two we'll say a 2-year period, even though it was really like a 1-year period, but it seemed like a 2-year period. You kinda there's a lot of life-changing
Oh yeah,
stuff that you think that you're gonna deal with. Because I even think about this with, knock on wood or whatever, my parents are still with me, but, you're gonna deal with it, and you just happen to have to deal with it, like, kind of all at once in a lot of ways, you know,
yeah, kind of. I mean, it
while
was
being on the road.
yeah. Well, I came back from Europe, and that was fun. I had a great time. And my mom was before I left, she was kind of sick, and I was worried. But when I got back, she seemed better. And then next thing you know, she's in the hospital and never left. And I told you how that whole thing went with the care that she got. I think they fucked her pretty bad. But what are you going to do? And then my dad has been dealing with, when he had both knees replaced, they kept him under anesthesia too long, and he came out and his heart was out of sync, or they call it out of out of rhythm. It did not beat right, so they have to shock you back into what's called sinus, which is your normal rhythm. He had to have that procedure done like 6 or 7 times, and to me, that surgery, he was never right after that surgery. And then, of course, what led to his passing was he kept having to have blood transfusions because he was became anemic. For they don't know why, because he had cancer in his throat. He got rid of it, and I was like, this dude beat cancer. You know what I mean? My mom was fighting cancer, and then he just was. You know, we had Thanksgiving the next day. My sister was sitting with him, and he was gone. That was just that fast. So when you think about it, life's precious. You know what I mean? But
What
when people tell you, make sure you always
pick up the
end your
phone.
day on a good note, because tomorrow may not be able to take that shit back. That's a fact. I know my sister and my mom had a conversation, and I don't know if my sister took it wrong, but she lives with that every day. Um, so yeah, it's been a weird couple weeks leading up to this, but I'm happy that I have 3 children that are healthy. They're all here. You know, we're going to celebrate the best you can and have
Except for
fun.
that bastard oversleeping in the back
Yeah,
room.
motherfucker. I got up at 4:30 to go to the gym, and this fucker. But see, it's weird, man. Me and him got this thing where I call him a weed head now, and I make him sound like Spicoli. I just do this, dude. I work, dad. Okay, dude. So like, just get off my ass and like, dude, leave me alone. So we got this little thing that we do in the house, and everybody gets when I when me and him start doing it. My wife flips the fuck out. She's like, "Oh, God, I'm leaving," because it's like a 10-minute back and forth because he does this voice that I don't do, but he makes me sound like some kind of old English professor, like, "Oh, excuse me, sir." You know what I mean? But it's funny, because that's the only thing that keeps me level headed humor wise, because I'm really trying to be not angry.
But it's
Know
just
me.
not fucking possible.
Well, you know what it is that,
Oh, that's
especially
amazing.
after sitting in a 45-minute line yesterday, that I'm like, this is unacceptable, man. You need to have somebody fucking directing some traffic here, because once I pulled out onto 56, I was like, man, I am just going straight home, and I'm not leaving my house for like 2 months.
I remember this was years ago. Ed was at a football game for his son. Where was your son playing football at? What school was he?
North Carolina, yeah, he was
He was
playing
playing North
for
Carolina, and
St.
Ed sent
Andrews.
me the link. We've all grew up with Ed's kids. It was then that was the weirdest thing about passing a joint around with your son at band practice. Not recently, very odd to me. But I remember this was years ago. Ed was at his son's football game, so he sent me the link.
In
Because
Miami.
in Miami. So I'm watching it and I'm like, where's Ed? So I see this individual very angry up in the top of the stands about some officiating. And guess who it was? It was one and only Angry Ed. I said to
Well,
my wife, I go, there he
it
is.
wasn't like the stands were packed or anything, so it wasn't like I was very hard to pick out because we were in the visiting section.
But he was pissed off. You're up on the top. I remember I was like, there he is right there. And I think the official screwed up something, but I just
Oh
thought
yeah,
I had
they
to
were,
bring that up.
yeah. That, well, go figure. Plus, their coaches absolutely sucked. That school sucked.
Dude, did you see, talking about psychos, by the way, did you see the fucking Christmas market over? So when we were like
Oh, the
actually
guy that drove through the full speed.
what a piece of shit, dude.
Yep.
Like, what you have to be, I mean, and I was in Germany 2 weeks ago, and we talked about going to a market, the Christmas market too. We're like, "Hey, if we get stuck, here," let me tell you, whoever listens, whoever does whatever, if you are such a piece of shit where you have to take your quote political or any kind of views and fucking harm innocent people, you just blow your brains out. You are
Exactly.
like the
Actually,
biggest piece of
instead
shit.
of driving your car through a crowd of people, just drive through the railing on a bridge and plunge into the
Yeah.
nearest fucking river.
You are worthless. You killed a child. You killed, I'm probably several children. I had to stop
11 people.
looking
I
at the
saw 11 people were dead um, from that. And the thing was, when you watch the video, it was full speed.
yeah.
Like, and
What a
that
piece
happened
of dirt.
here. Remember that guy? That guy
It was
was
happening
in
for a while
Oregon,
there. Remember there was like a period of
or
time.
whatever. He drove into a same thing, a Christmas on people were in a parade in the street, and he drove through those people, and then he was really confused as to why he was being arrested. And I'm thinking to myself, have you lost your fucking mind?
Are you
You
such
know,
a
just
piece
like
of
people
shit? You
who,
want to destroy other people's lives because your life sucks so bad, or
well,
you
I
hate
look at
this or
people
that.
that because my wife had to endure another, or Kendall had to endure a guy the other day. She said she was driving her boyfriend home, and the guy was at the light, and the light turned green, so she did the tap on the horn. Hey, beep, light's green. Well, apparently that set this dude off. So when she tried to go around him, he tried to force her off the road because he was in a truck like mine. So she would back up, and then as soon as he would, he kept stopping to keep her from passing him. And I'm like, why doesn't that shit happen to me? Please let that guy. Don't do it to my daughter. Don't do it to my wife. Please do it to me because I will gladly pull over. Because if you do get out of the car and I see your hands are empty, well, that's fine. Then I'll engage you. But if I see you got something in your hands, prepare to meet God because
That's
it's over. Because I'm done with these people, man. There are so many people who think they're a tough guy behind a fucking 6,000 pound piece of metal. And I'm telling you, man, when you fuck with the wrong people, you meet God real quick.
I just think you
You know
just
what I
got to be
mean?
the worst, just a scumbag. Like you just
To
gotta
do shit like
to do
that.
shit like that, to take whatever your hang up is, whatever makes your little worthless self feel better, and you got to like go hurt people and destroy other people's lives who have everybody's got fucking problems. Everybody's got shit in their own lives
Yeah, but
that
you don't know those people.
you don't know those people, and you're gonna go kill
You
their
know,
children or stuff. You just awful. I always think
well,
that's the
I don't
worst
even
piece of
excuse the
scum.
people who, when they go into a school because they were bullied,
Yeah,
and they don't even go after the bullies that bullied them. They just shoot anybody. To me,
it's
that's a coward.
pathetic. It's
That's a
pathetic.
fucking coward.
Yeah.
And I'm pro Second Amendment, but when that shit happens, I say you make examples out of all of these people and the parents, because if it's the parents' gun and you didn't have it locked up and you allowed that to happen, you are just like the last one that happened when the parents they found out the dad bought the kid who he knew was
Oh, they
unstable a
arrested
fucking
him
gun.
too. Yeah.
Oh, and the mom,
Yeah.
all of them, they all deserve to rot in hell because you know what, you knew your kid. See, listen, you know, you see your kids, they're 3 and 5, they act up. Okay, they're kids. But when you're 15, 16 years old and you're still acting like that,
You're an
and
asshole.
and you're acting crazy and entitled, and you're like, you know what you need, buddy? You need a gun.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, okay, you're done too. It's over.
It's just it's oh yeah. I mean, and we always talk about even on the side ed, like we grew up in like with the school shooting stuff. I mean, it's not the norm at all, but you become desensitized. And what I mean by that is, when Columbine happened, that was a huge deal. When when these other school shootings were happening, it was a big deal. But now it's become where you roll through a newspaper, or basically, I don't even think there really is tons of newspapers anymore. But if
Just
you
see it
roll through,
online.
see it online, it's almost like, ah, what do you say? Always, there's another school shooting. Where it used to be
Yep.
like,
There
holy shit, there's
or
14
something,
years ago.
just random, just even random shit.
Yeah,
Like the shit I see a lot is uh cops didn't protect the woman from the guy who was being domesticatedly violent, and the woman winds up dead. And people are like,
then everyone's like,
don't
oh, what happened?
there's like, I'm like, where's the outrage against the police who didn't help the woman? I don't know if you saw here, there's a big deal where there was some drunk chick walking down the side of the highway, and the cops pulled her over, and she had all her luggage and shit, and apparently she was just beat up by her man, and she had been walking miles, and she was trying to get to the next town, which was like 2 miles away. She was clearly had been drinking. You know what I mean? The cops refused, on body camera, refused to give her a ride, saying, I don't have any room in my car for you. Refused to give her a ride to the next town, 2 miles away. They told her to keep walking and just stay to the side of the road. Well, she got hit by a fucking truck and killed.
Yeah, I mean that's
And now the people are like, the cops are like, we did nothing wrong. No, you did what you should have done was, if she was intoxicated, call an ambulance and let them check her out, because she was clearly, you could see she had a black eye. She was beaten by her man. That's why she left. But they did nothing. And people are outraged when cops get like, why are you coming after the cops? Because they are supposed to be here to protect and serve. And they let that lady walk down a fucking dark highway and get smashed by a truck. That's somebody's mother. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So when shit like that happens, this is where the outrage comes from. And you have to fix it. This is why America's a laughing stock to all these countries.
I almost had to basically like turn off my social, like not social media even, but like even I don't look at I'm going to get to the releases coming up too, everybody. I just have to, for some reason, this top, when I saw this German thing, it just made me sick to my
It's
stomach as this
brutal.
shit happens. I just think people are insane, but I had to stop watching a lot of the news stories all the time. And I'm alert to what's going on. I try not to be naive or anything like that, but I just had to do it, man, because I just see just it's such a negative screw that everything is pushing just the negative all the time, which that's pretty much what a lot of it is. And then you also have the 4 billion people throwing their ideas below of like how oh, it's okay if you take over a country, or this is they start becoming everyone becomes the scholars on every subject, you know, and it just
Well,
gets annoying.
Facebook is fifty
YouTube
percent
anywhere though, it's totally like just
true,
people.
but Facebook, you get people who would just put, because Instagram's not as bad, because it's more of a,
Yeah, it's more of a
they're two
like it's
different
just
things. You know
different.
what I
It's
mean?
different.
But Facebook is where Joe Blow can put up a post saying how somebody should be killed because of blah 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 blah, and that's okay. You know what I mean? And in my opinion, I'm like, you're an idiot. That's your opinion, and then you see the hate that
There's
whether it's
tons of it on
agreeing.
every level. Just the stupidity that rolls in.
Well,
You
it's either
know.
the agreement or the hate that follows whatever somebody said,
Uh,
and it's just like, to see just that type of humanity. I mean, I truly believe, and because we're from the old school where I had to get up and change the channel by hand. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sorry, that's just where we came from. We didn't have cable, we didn't have Netflix or internet or none of that shit. And I think honestly, we had a better time. You know why? Because like, I remember I would take an extra shirt with me to the bus stop because I thought I was going to fight that day,
yep.
and I didn't want to go to school with a ripped shirt. So I would take a second shirt. You fight, it's over with. You go to school and it's done. You know what I mean?
Now you bring a bulletproof
Nowadays,
vest.
it's somebody stalking you with 20 friends to jump you in a parking lot because they're pussies.
Yeah.
That's how it works now. And
Yeah.
like you said, I mean, you have to turn off Facebook, man.
I
I hear
stopped
you
looking at a
ding me.
lot of it, man.
You
Yeah.
ding me on there for Messenger. That's the only reason I really have Facebook.
Same
I'll
here.
post something for our bands, for the morgue, or personal stuff for my personal page. Otherwise, man, I look and there's always just that one person or two
I don't even know
people
how
that
relevant Facebook is anymore, man. Like I do it. I put some stuff for my family so they could see the kids, or because we live in a different country for the last bunch of years. But I think for that, I never say to myself, let me sign on Facebook and see what uh, whatever Jim whatever thinks about this topic because I really don't give a shit. Um,
agreed.
so that's pretty much yeah. So that kind of so I do have some before we say goodbye and whatever your thing is, happy holidays or screw the holidays or whatever the thing is for everybody. I will mention some releases. I don't have too many either. I do have a couple. Um, and Ed, I think like you said, there's really not. I have some underground releases coming out. There's not too much going on. Everyone, like you said, everyone pretty much checks out this time. I mean, what let me see here. But there is some. There is some. And there's probably way more than this, but these are the ones I pulled. And I'm going to start with we got Epitaph, a doom metal band from Italy, formed in '88. They have a new album coming out. Came out on the 20th, a few days ago. Title Path to Oblivion, the label My Kingdom Music out of Italy. And let's see here. It's a follow up to the band's 2017 record, Claws. Moondark, death metal band from Sweden, formed in '93. Album The Abyssal Wound. No, The Abyssal Womb. Pulverized Records. They put out demos in '93 and 2015. This one's 8 tracks. Three members of Della Morte, a death metal band out of Sweden that ended in 2002, and that came out also on the 20th. Hail Conjurer. So we know this. We know Harry Quokinen because we had him on our show. Harry's also the singer of Hooded Menace from Helsinki, Finland. They put out, let me see here. They put out, it's called titled Anti Dualist Action, label B Style Burst from Finland. 6 tracks that came out on the 20th. Also, if anybody hasn't heard the Harry interview that we did with him, Harry was a great guest, killer episode. If you're a fan of Hail Conjurer or if you're definitely a fan of Hooded Menace, definitely worth checking out. Satanic War Master out of Finland also. This came out on, and if you remember, Ed, when we did this December 13th episode, I was like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Well, this is what I was forgetting to mention. I just heard this album actually this week. I got time to listen to some of it. Exculation of Cruelty came out on Werewolf Records. 6 tracks. These were recorded between 2021 and 24. Came out on Friday the 13th of this month in December. Death Cult 69, doom metal band. The Way of the Flesh is the name of the record, self-released, follow-up to the band's 2004 EP, title Hell on Earth. That comes out on January 1st, actually, and I only have a few more here. Pandemic, thrash metal band from Poland, formed in 2005. Phantoms is the name of the record, label Dying Victim Productions out of Germany. Features members of Roadhog, Snake's Head, Smog, Horned Cult. That came out on the 20th. Pale from Tokyo, Japan. It's post black metal band. Our Hearts Are in Heaven. Our Hearts in Your Heaven is the name of the record. Tokyo Jupiter Records it came out on. That comes out on January 10th, actually, that release. And that's I don't know much about that band. The band Pale, formed in 2016. Genocide Commando out of France, formed in 2002. Third World War is the name of the record. This actually comes out tomorrow on December 24th, Christmas Eve. It's coming out on Osmos Productions. That's the band's third full length. I do remember the first full length, Black Metal Supremacy, because that came out in 2002 and actually had. I'm a big fan of. I always liked Corpus Christi or Morte Incandescente, and that has NH that was in that band. He was on that record, but they have a new record coming out. I do not believe he's involved anymore. But the album is called Third World War. 2 more, and then we're done. Whisper out of Helsinki, Finland. Gravemind is the name of the EP they're putting out. It's an independent release, 3 tracks. It comes out tomorrow, also December 24th. And Dweller from Wisconsin, Ancient Ruin EP comes out tomorrow. No, it comes out December 28th. Independent release, the band's fourth EP. First one came out in 2018. And yeah, so I pulled those. And besides that, like they're like
King dropped a new song.
What'd you think of the new song?
It's King Diamond.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of, I think it's been too long. What was it? Somebody said 2011 was the last time he put a record out.
And I think that the last track that was released was at the tour we saw him on, which was like,
Masquerade of Madness.
yeah, was that 6 years ago? Has to be.
Yep.
Maybe
So
more than maybe more
he's
than
been
that,
doing this record,
or less than that.
for as long as I can remember. Now I know COVID put a little, kink in a lot of stuff, but man, we saw him. I mean, it was what was it 2019 or 2020?
I want to say 2019, or maybe I want to say
It might have been the
2019.
beginning of 2020 because I think right after that show, everything shut down.
You're
So I want
right
to say it
because when
was,
we got that was the last because we did the. So you're right because when I got back here from that trip, that's when everything changed.
yep.
All the
So, but yeah, I mean, I know they're playing it on this tour. I did not go to that show. I wound up selling my tickets only because I was not here. And I did not feel like doing a 4-hour drive round trip to see the same set list plus 2 new songs. I saw them on YouTube. It was fine. You know, some things be like, oh man, I can't believe I missed that. Like if Slayer, like say Slayer popped up, knowing that they're pretty much done, I would be like, fuck, or like Motorhead because we knew
we
we
saw
knew
Motorhead
things
probably what?
th- 3 weeks before he died.
Yeah, maybe 3 weeks before he died. Yeah, in
Yeah, I
Orlando at
mean,
the heart. Was it the? We saw him at the House of Blues.
House of Blues. My cousin got me those tickets.
Yeah,
Got us those tickets. Yep. And we got in the VIP section too. Remember,
that's
we
right.
were
We were with Terry, right? We were with
Terry
Butler.
and Greg Gall and forget who else was there. Somebody else was there. Yeah, that was a great show. I mean, seeing Lemmy, he looked frail. We knew because you bought that drum head. We knew.
I have that
You know,
hanging up over here, man. And you're right. I always say to my wife, I remember when I saw the drumhead signed by Motorhead at the show, it was like, I want to say it was like $40 only or some ridiculous, like not a bad price. And I said, man, I'm going to grab this. And, because when you're going to, now I have, when I worked at the magazine, I had met Lemmy several times and totally killer guy. Met him in Los Angeles at the Rainbow, the bar and grill back when we were going to NAMM to the music conference. But when you go to see him, and like you said, he passed away a couple weeks later, you kind of knew you weren't going to run into Lemmy anymore and stuff like that. Because you can even see when we saw him on that show, and I forget who they played with, and I want to say was it Anthrax?
no,
Who did we
no.
see them with? No, it wasn't Anthrax. It was one band, and I can see the band's name in my head. It was something that I had never seen them before either.
Yeah, I know who they are, and I
It
can't think of
begins
their
with a
name either.
C, I want to say.
Yeah, I cannot think of them who it is, man. But yeah,
I
I
think it
mean, I
begins
didn't
with a
care.
C.
I didn't care because I knew first of all we got the tickets for free, which was even
But they walked out Lemmy, if you remember. Like he
yeah,
couldn't
oh
like
yeah,
they walked him out to the mic and stuff like that. And you know, a band I would like to see we talked about this on the last episode probably was Asabath I would like to see, but I would like to see them like it would be awesome to see them even at a Ritz or like an Orpheum or somewhere where it's not just totally gigantic. But I'm wondering if they're gonna do if they're gonna do more than what I know, like I said, I know they're playing in May it was at Welcome to Rockville in Daytona Beach, Florida, in May. But I wonder if this is just like the beginning. If they're going to do, are they going to become a touring act again? Like actually, where you're actually like, it's going to be a normal thing. Like once every year or two, you wind up seeing them. Dax Riggs. We used to, me and my ex used to actually go over to New Orleans and watch Dax play. He would play at One Eyed Jacks on Halloween and stuff like that. Do acoustic sets, and I just thought you would never see another Acid Bath reunion or anything like that. So I wonder if this is like going to be a normal thing. So I know Dax is still going to do his solo records because, I mean, the guys, in my opinion, Dax Riggs is amazing. I mean, everything from Agents of Oblivion to Dead Boy and the Elephant Man. Um, he's got a great voice. But I'm just wondering if this is like going to be a norm.
yeah. I don't know, man. I, stranger things have happened with bands that come back, especially after being gone for so long without original members. So, yeah, I don't know.
You never
I
know.
mean,
The
they
price is
were
right. It seems like these
definitely
days.
they were definitely a you know I wouldn't call them underground. I would call them more of a. They were a known band. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Very. I don't know. I don't know how I would describe it,
I know what you're
but they were
saying.
well
Like
known.
we all knew them, but like the kid that probably the Hot Topic kid, which I don't even know if Hot Topic was a thing back then, but they didn't 100% know the band. But I mean, if you were into metal or you were into like more this darker, you knew who Acid Bath was.
Right.
Um, so and like I said, Sammy obviously with Go Horror through all the years, I'm glad to see them back. I can't wait to see some footage of it. I'm just hoping that you know they do some shows in the future because that's something I would love to see. And Ed, I mean, I don't know. I think we probably get out of here for the day. Um, we're going to be back here. Me and you will be. We have a show tonight. We're doing a live show um, on the Lithuanian radio show. So let me see. That's all I really have, man. I did see. I think we mentioned it last time. We'll mention it again. Anybody? What 6 feet under? Embryonic autopsy and Nile and Psychroptic are playing in Tampa and Orlando. Tampa is January 12th at the Orpheum. I just saw this in my messages too. January 10th at the Abbey in Orlando, which we'll talk about that all again. It's the Revenge of the Underworld Tour 2025. Besides that, man, I mean, do you have anything else, Ed, today, or you want to
You
call
know,
it a?
I just had to, my brain wouldn't stop working after we talked about Lemmy, and you are correct. It was anthrax. We did see it
Was
with
it?
anthrax. It
And there's a
was
reason
anthrax.
why I know this, and I'm not going to go too much
But
detail
that
into
says
it.
Saxon too, and I don't remember seeing
I don't
Saxon.
know if it was that. Maybe it wasn't with Anthrax. I just remember us having an Anthrax
No, I
conversation
remember.
that night.
No, I remember seeing anthrax now because I could remember.
Do you remember a
I remember.
conversation we had with somebody at the show about how, and we're not going to mention any names or anything like that, but there was someone who had dealt with Anthrax and said, "Oh, they treated us like shit back in the day."
Yeah, no, you're right, and that, because for some reason I knew I saw anthrax around that same time, but I didn't put, yeah, but you're right. It was most definitely was anthrax. Now that I think about it, because I remember we saw them and they were good, but it was just, I don't
I
know. It
always
was,
thought Joey's killer. Um, but yeah, for some reason I remember because I know we had it that night. We were
but I
talking
don't
about it.
remember. I do not remember Saxon because I'm pretty sure I would have remembered if Saxon opened that show.
I don't think no, they didn't. They definitely. I'm telling you,
There was
Saxon
definitely
definitely didn't
another
open that
band
show.
on that show.
There was a
So,
band with a C in it, the name,
but
but I can't remember
it
what it
was
was.
September 25th, 2015. So
Damn, the years are
almost
flying.
10 years ago, dude.
Ay, ay, ay.
Which is just nuts to me, man. I mean, uh,
Yeah, it's time is flying, and that's right. At 2015, and everybody who listens to us, let's do the. Ed, I'll let you start out the spiel. Your
my spiel.
your
What?
spiel.
What? Go listen on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, the Tampa Morgue at gmail.com. If you have some suggestions for, bands for us to play, any hate mail, love mail, whatever. That's how you get us. Instagram, and we do have a Facebook page, but we don't put hate on our Facebook page. We
So yeah, it's
we
not.
try to
We would be
try to
okay
keep
because
that
our
neutral.
Facebook page is pretty lame, so probably nobody would it would work out anyway. But
Exactly.
yeah, go check out our old episodes. There's a shitload of them. This is episode number 70. We'll be doing 71 on Friday. Whether it comes out on Saturday or Sunday, we'll kind of keep that posted as we go about the week. But everybody who celebrates anything, man, no matter what it is, have a good holiday. For any you people who do stupid shit and hurt other people just because you hate your life, screw off. Um, and Ed,
Crowbot.
that's Probot. What? No, what's that?
Crowbot.
Crowbot. So
Crowbot.
it was
You
with a
said it
C. I
was a
knew it was a
C.
C. Yeah, I knew it was a
Crowbot.
C. Okay, so that makes
Son of a
sense.
bitch.
So I knew it was something with a C.
Yep.
I was gonna say I knew it wasn't Probot, but
No, Crowbot.
yeah, that's why
Crowbot.
I said I knew it was a C. But anybody who listens to us, we appreciate you.
For sure.
Um, and have a good
I
holiday. Be
mean,
safe.
we're on episode 70, dude. I mean,
70.
just think about that.
100
First
will
of
be
all,
before you know it, man.
it's 7:51 in the morning here, and we're 70 episodes in, and it's just as fun as the first day we started, man. And I'm just glad people listen, and I hope everybody has a safe holiday for sure.
My sentiments exactly. Everybody, have a good one. And as always, we'll be having King take him out today.
we will have
Mr.
King take him out
Fally.
today.
Mr.
King will take you
Fally.
out today.
Yeah, everybody, thanks for listening to the Tampa Morgue. We'll be back this week with Jesse Jolly from a bunch of bands and obviously Malevolent Creation. So we'll talk to you all then. Ed, I'll talk to you off of the show, but you and your family, man, have a good one.
You too, brother.
Peace, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Tampa Morgue.
See ya.
Peace.
This is King Fally from Deceased, and you just listened to another episode of the Tampa Morgue. Tune in next week and stay fucking dead.